The Dawning brings a perfect damage rotation PvE Glacioclasm and a PvP God roll that will easily be the best feeling high impact fusion in Destiny 2. I'm talking about a fusion rifle that's factually faster than a slick draw Eremite, but without any of the accuracy downsides and still able to hit 100 range. Before the Dawning launch, I anticipated liking this roll, but after testing out the option most people were going for and then trying this one, I can say without a doubt it's the drop you're looking for. I'm Glacioclasm, and these are the Glacioclasm God rolls I do not want you to miss. Glacioclasm is a high impact void fusion rifle with the highest range stat in its category. However, it also has the lowest aim assist. Hold on to that. But also notice that this latest iteration is losing all its charge time and distance perks from last year. Successful warm-up, offhand strike, and killing wind are all gone. But what we got in return is pretty incredible given the state of the special weapon ammo economy in PvP. It's just not very often that you end up with 2 in the mag anymore, so what we can do with that one single burst you spawn in with matters more than ever. Let's start with the perks in PvE before we do PvP and the God rolls, because there is one super important thing I do not want you to miss. Yes, you can use any combination of Envious Assassin or Overflow with Control Burst or Reservoir Burst for tons of ammo with extra damage, or even pair Slide Shot or Subsistence with Reservoir Burst for constant reloads and explosions, but Withering Gaze is the highlight of this weapon for PvE, and it's so much better on Glacioclasm than it could ever be on Gravitic Arrest, the dungeon fusion. Let me explain. You have to be ADS for 1.5 seconds before firing to apply the Weaken from Withering Gaze to your target. 1.4 seconds if enhanced. The thing is, you can pre-charge while waiting for that time to pass, and on Gravitic Arrest, the fusion was so fast that you really are waiting about a full second before you can fire. Glacioclasm is a high impact that takes almost a full second to charge anyways, so if you get the timing right on this fusion, you should be able to hardly waste any time at all waiting for Withering Gaze. In fact, you can do the opposite of what I'd normally recommend on a PvE fusion, and go with liquid coils to up your damage and increase your charge time so that it takes a little more than a full second to charge your weapon. So you're really only waiting like 0.4 seconds before firing Glacioclasm to proc Withering Gaze. That's kind of perfect. The other extremely notable thing here is air trigger. If this really is your boss damage rotation fusion rifle, it may be an encounter where you don't have time to go pick up ammo for overflow or swap to your primary against ads to proc Envious Assassin. Air trigger is a plus 30 reload speed with a 0.8 times reload duration multiplier. That's faster than the Outlaw perk for just jumping in the air. And when you enhance it, it goes up to plus 35 reload speed and increases your inventory size to give you an extra burst in reserves. Now, just like PvE, there's some things in the PvP perks I do not want you to miss that we've got to talk about before getting into the God rolls. The first being Lone Wolf. Think back to the stats and Glacioclasm's weakness. Aim assist. It sits at 55, which is lower than any other high impact fusion rifle currently available. That's 13 stat points less than Mid is Reckoning. Lone Wolf fixes that. It gives a passive plus 11 aim assist when enhanced. You don't even have to play away from your team to get that aim assist back up to par with the other fusions. Then, if you have that playstyle of venturing off on your own, you're bumped all the way up to 75 aim assist before adding mods or anything. So don't just jump straight to under pressure. That's going to be fine, but after using God rolls with closing time on each of them, it is a massive difference getting that huge bump in aim assist, night and day. We'll talk about it in the God rolls. The other thing with the perks before we jump into the God rolls is closing time, and something I don't want to see a single one of you at me on. I love when y'all send me your God rolls on Twitter, I really do, but hear me out on this one thing. If you're going closing time, you do not need an all-range, full-bore projection fuse range masterwork 100 range Glacioclasm. You are wasting stats. It's like when you try to get max armor, but you put 110 into something. That's pretty much what you're doing here. At base, closing time minimum, without even enhancing, you're going to get plus 10 range, even if you have 2 shots in your mag. And even that isn't the case most of the time. You usually just have 1. The max range that I want to see on your God rolls I'm tagged in is 90, and that's not even including a ballistics mod. Range is not Glacioclasm's problem, which brings me to the real God rolls. What do you want if you're not going for range? This is where it gets crazy. Check this out. My personal PvP Glacioclasm God roll is a charge time masterwork, fluted barrel, projection fuse, enhanced lone wolf, and closing time roll with a ballistics mod. When everything is at max, you're looking at what is essentially a 100 range, 100 handling, 75 aim assist hard hitting fusion that has faster handling than even a slick draw Eremite, but with none of the downsides. Just look at this stat comparison. And this is with a charge time masterwork on Glacio, so you're charging faster too. This feels so good. I'm jumping back into the recording after spending a significant amount of time with the under pressure closing time roll versus Lone Wolf, and as I said earlier, it's night and day. I did not notice the change on plug 1 like I have on Glacio, and I think it all has to do with Glacioclasm's lower aim assist stats that you're bumping. Yes, the snappiness is great and super noticeable too, but the aim assist, the connection to your target is unbelievable now. I'm hitting things I feel like I just have no right hitting. Now, on the masterwork, a range masterwork, handling masterwork, it would all be fine. It's just a charge time masterwork that makes the most sense for evening out your stats everywhere. But I know it's just RNG, and getting double range perks is totally acceptable. It's not like you can craft this thing. So along those lines, the under pressure closing time roll is still going to be great for PvP too. You'll still get most of the handling and range from closing time, so the under pressure roll with this exact same perk setup will still feel amazing. You'll just miss out on the aim assist and ADS speed from Lone Wolf in exchange for a better accuracy cone and stability stat with under pressure. The argument against this fusion is that Gravitic Arrest and Plug 1 are faster fusions with the same combo that are hitting 100 range too, so it really all comes down to, do you like high impacts? With how easy it is to land shots with them, how much power they have, and the special ammo economy state, I'd say you want to pick one of these up. Especially if your main deterrent in the past has been the sluggish feel. This god roll could just be a better Eremite, which is saying something because I whipped it out to preview this guide and it felt even more disgusting than when I first reviewed it thanks to the health changes and adding a ballistics mod. Like, wow, I can't wait to get the perfect Glacioclasm if it's better than this. The why use this fusion question applies to PvE too. We've got tons of fusions that have overflow, subsistence, slide shot, envious assassin ammo tricks to use control burst or reservoir with. And there's nothing wrong with grabbing one of these rolls and keeping it for when you need something easy, but Withering Gaze and Air Trigger bring something new. My PvE Glacioclasm God roll would be a reload masterwork, fluted barrel, liquid coils, enhanced air trigger, and Withering Gaze roll with a tactical mod on to get that reload speed up to 61 when air trigger is procced. If you happen to be at the top of the mag, you can even use Omlon Fluid Dynamics as the origin trait and get that reload up to 91 on top of that air trigger reload scaler that's faster than Outlaw. Now, getting that combo of liquid coils and enhancing Withering Gaze is the super important part here for me. Probably the most important thing for a PvE god roll, since I'll be able to start charging Glacio almost right away after I swap to it. Less than 0.4 seconds of waiting to get that extra damage from the high impact, as opposed to waiting longer to pull the trigger on a sniper rifle where I have to worry about the headshot for max damage, or even Gravitic Arrest where I need to wait an even longer amount of time for Withering Gaze because Gravitic will just charge too fast. If you go for the other perks, you probably don't want to spec into a reload masterwork or the liquid coils. One of the auto reload perks will most likely take care of that for you. So outside my personal god roll, the general god rolls will be some combination of these other perks that's almost entirely up to your preference. I just have enough of these kind of fusions. So, two very unique god rolls here for PvE and PvP. I want both of them. Genuinely, I want both of these rolls because the PvE roll has a purpose in damage rotations that no other fusion really has right now except for Gravitic, and this is just going to do it better. Then in PvP, I really do think the Eremite Slickjaw roll is so good. Even now, I stand by that guide, and if you didn't like it, chances are that you're going to like this one because Glacioclasm doesn't have any of the drawbacks in accuracy that the Eremite did. It's just taking it one step further. And if you don't care about the aim assist numbers with Lone Wolf, and you think Glacio is fine at base, then you can just do all this same setup and go under pressure and closing time with all that handling. Either way, the Dawning is bringing us a version of Glacioclasm that's bound to become the best feeling high impact fusion rifle we've ever seen in Destiny 2. A comparison of all 4 fusions we've had drop this episode coming soon. Yes, if you're wondering where I've been, I have actually spent the last 4 weeks getting perfect Gravitic Arrest and Plug 1 God rolls, and I have a lot of thoughts. Now, let's get some God roll Glacioclasms so we can really compare. Write me a Glacioclasm if you made it to the end, not Riptide, don't do it. This has been Lego the Flash, until next time, GG.